Now, you get the sense that when Director Comey entered the FBI building, it became like the wardrobe in that famous C.S. Lewis book, his own fantasy land with rules that didn't apply to mere mortals. Well, today, the supercilious, pious, sanctimonious former FBI Director Jim Comey was roasted. The Inspector General found that he was in clear violation of Department of Justice guidelines and his sworn duty in handling information related to his dealings with the president and the dossier. Now, Comey's conduct was an affront to the standards expected of all DOJ employees, and it's a stain on the long, proud history of the FBI. But tonight, here's what you need to understand. Comey, along with Clapper, Brennan, Strzok, and McCabe, and perhaps others, fancied themselves as Trump-resisting superheroes, self-appointed saviors of truth, justice, and the American way. Well, deep state actors, they looked the other way as Comey abused his position, all the privileges and power of the FBI, and a planned effort to destroy the man he had utter disdain for, Donald Trump. Now, Comey comes from the rarefied upper crust of elite Washington lawyers. To them, Trump from the outset was an uncouth real estate mogul turned reality star, the antithesis of what many of these self-anointed elites wanted in their president. Now, folks like Comey themselves have coasted for years on their pedigree and puffery. They don't like disruptors because people like Trump, they're going to pull back the curtain on the status quo, the old guard, the establishment. They don't like that one bit. The IG report tells us that Comey meticulously planned exactly how he would inform President-elect Trump of the salacious details contained in that Steele dossier. He colluded with McCabe, the FBI general counsel, and others in advance to plan their strategy to set up the president-elect. So after briefing Trump about the dossier at Trump Tower, Comey started drafting a memo to memorialize the encounter during a car ride back to the office. This was all planned out. Then a day later, on January 11th, CNN reported this.
That the intelligence chiefs of the United States, when they briefed President Obama Thursday and President-elect Trump on Friday, they believed that the source of the dossier was credible and his sources were credible, and they believed that, A, the president-elect and the president should know that the Russians were claiming they had compromising information on him.
That's just disgraceful. Well, that opened, of course, the media floodgates, and a wave of damaging and totally fraudulent fake news stories followed about the phony Clinton-financed Steele dossier. Now, in the months that followed, Comey memorialized his other meetings with the president. Several memos were sent to his personal lawyer, Daniel Richmond, who then, at Comey's behest, shared the contents of at least two of them with the news media. Why? To spark the appointment of a special counsel to investigate possible Trump-Russia collusion. But the president smelled a rat. He confronted and ultimately fired Comey over the leaks to the media, which, of course, Comey vociferously denied.
I don't consider what I did with Mr. Richmond a leak. I told him about an unclassified conversation with the president.
1 month after firing Comey, and in reaction to the now former FBI director's Capitol Hill testimony, Trump in a tweet wrote, "Despite so many false statements and lies, total and complete vindication. And wow, Comey is a leaker." So is Trump right? Well, regarding the leaking, maybe Comey never considered releasing his own memos leaking because his ultimate goal, bringing down the president, was noble. He saw it as he was carrying out his civic duty.
I intentionally gave this information to a friend, intending that it be out in the media. I wanted it to get out in the media.
Right.
As a private citizen, I could do that and did that.
Actually, Jim, you weren't supposed to do that. This is from page 61 of the IG report. Comey had several other lawful options available to him to advocate for the appointment of a special counsel, which he told us was his goal in making the disclosure. What was not permitted was the unauthorized disclosure of sensitive information, investigative information obtained during the course of FBI employment in order to achieve a personally desired outcome. So he leaked and lied to the public about it. Then there is the question of how many memos Comey shared with his pal Richmond for media distribution and whether they contain classified material. Now, in repeated interviews, Comey said versions of this.
I sent Mr. Richmond a copy of a 2-page unclassified memo and asked him to get the substance of it out to the media. I gave him nothing else ever. Okay. I sent one memo, unclassified then, still unclassified, and it's recounted in my book.
The book. But the IG says on page 51 of the report, Richmond volunteered to the Bureau in his interview that if you're collecting the one, you should get the other 3 memos Richmond had received from Comey. Whoops. Adding, there could be classified information contained in what Richmond received from Comey. That is a key part of this report. Could be classified information. So, repeated leaker, repeated liar. And in his interview with Bret Baier last year, he made this ludicrous claim.
FBI protocol says your own employment agreement with the FBI prohibits, quote, the unauthorized disclosure of any information or material from or related to FBI files or any information acquired by virtue of my official employment without prior written permission from the FBI. Did you have written permission?
No, and I didn't consider it part of an FBI file, all the things I talked about with Anderson.
You wrote it as an FBI director. It was a work product.
No, it was not. It was my personal aide de memoire.
You're talking to the president?
First of all, any man who says aide de memoire is someone you should never trust, okay? That is just... Ugh. The IG on page 52 says Comey's characterization of the memos as personal records finds no support in the law and is wholly incompatible with the plain language of the statutes, regulations, and policies defining federal records and the terms of Comey's FBI employment agreement. So he's not just a leaker and a liar. He's incompetent or perhaps willfully ignorant. Neither of those is good either. Still, after all this, Comey had the gall this morning to tweet, DOJ IG found no evidence that Comey or his attorneys released any of the classified information contained in any of the memos to members of the media. I don't need a public apology from those who defame me, but a quick message with a, sorry, we lied about you, would be nice. Sorry, Jimmy. Don't hold your breath. The IG report established, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Comey engaged in a grand personal vendetta against this president, and in doing so, he abused his authority. And while Comey must be breathing easier tonight, given the AG's decision not to prosecute him for this leaking, he's not out of the woods yet. The IG report on the FBI Russian probe and the use of those FISA warrants is forthcoming. And it was Comey who signed the first FISA warrant to spy on American citizens. Now, based on the dossier, he knew or should have known was not credible. That was filed with the FISA court. Big no-no. But if Comey manages to escape prosecution for conduct that his underlings would be charged for, then the damage he did to the FBI will extend to our belief in the treasured words carved into the Supreme Court building: equal justice under the law. And that's the angle.